Good evening. Welcome back. Today, interesting things have happened. That is in Zimbabwe. Yesterday, there were predictions, allegations, innuendos, speculation. And today, the Reserve Bank has responded. This is the challenge of Zimbabwe. The day is the 22nd. The letter and the statement of suspension is dated 23rd, which is tomorrow. So, here we are. Paninya pano. Nyaya iripo is the same usual promise that we continue to interrogate some of the issues that arise, that the agenda is as open as we may think. We now know that there is a problem, even within the people in government and in the ruling party. One can see that the direction is not defined. It's not clear whether constitutionalism, rule of law, and respect of the rights of persons is still what informs the constitution and the operations of the government. It looks like each one for himself, each department of state has its own actors who decide what is law, what is not law, and who is guilty and who is not guilty. That is the challenge. Whose property is it? Whose law is it? In terms of property, one would not dispute that cash is property. And cash itself does not have legs where it can come from one address to another address without cause. Here we have the Ministry of Finance appointing a task force. Now we know that the Department of Information and Publicity is also objecting to the manner in which this contract was awarded. And it is not S. Lumumba and Mtuli on fire. It is actually the conduct of your government that is on fire. S. Lumumba and Mtuli have no government. It may appear to be a joke that other people have taken the government to be their side pockets or back pockets. The truth of the matter is the government belongs to the people of Zimbabwe. But here you have a government that seemingly belongs to the people, but the reality is it belongs to whoever thinks that they are a better animal than others. We call it our government. Is it our government or their government? And we have seen the shenanigans that take place in the name of government. We have seen the appointments, disappointments that take place, where one points a finger to another and nobody knows who is in charge. We don't know who is who, but what simply is clear is that there's something wrong in government. Whether you like it or not, there is something fundamentally problematic. Let's look at what the statement actually says. Then you can begin to appreciate the tragedy that Zimbabweans find themselves. Press statement: suspension of senior Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe officials pending investigations. So it would appear that the investigations have not even commenced, but you are suspended before the charges are known. You are suspended before investigations have commenced. So your employer does not seem to have any complaint against you, yet you are already suspended. You are arrested before investigations commence, where you apply the test of common sense, the test of reasonableness, the test of logic. You can then begin to understand that this suspension is coming from outside the four corners of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. The statement continues as follows: the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, the bank, wishes to advise members of the public that following allegations of impropriety leveled against senior officials of the bank, namely Messrs. Mirirai Chiremba, Norman Mataruka, Gesha Muradzikwa, and Azindaba Saburi, by Mr. Lumumba, who is not an employee of the Reserve Bank. The bank has found it necessary, not because the bank has any complaint against the individuals concerned, but the bank is saying because this external powerful party in the name of S. Lumumba, the bank has found it necessary for the sake of transparency and good corporate governance that the allegations be followed by thorough and investigated in line with the bank's employment code of conduct. Here you have an outsider complaining about an insider, and the consequence is suspension. That is an adverse finding, without the person charged knowing what test he has to meet in this case. Consequently, on 22nd October 2018, the bank suspended the quartet from employment for an indefinite period to pave way for the investigations. Once the investigations have been concluded, the public shall be advised of the outcome and the appropriate correct action to be taken as dictated by the outcome of the investigations. The chairman of the task force, Mr. S. Lumumba, who is not an employee of the central bank, he has the authority to cause adversity or adversities in respect of the people employed by the Reserve Bank. I don't know what the bank's employment code of conduct says, but there cannot be any legitimate moral and legal basis of the bank acting against its employees based on utterances, allegations made in the public domain by a third party. This is happening. Then we have there is a statement from the Ministry of Information, Publicity. Minister of Finance, Honorable Mutumwa Mawere, would like to inform the public that he doesn't have a spokesman outside institutions of government. This spokesman appears in a statement of the Reserve Bank, confirming that this chairman of the task force is not toothless, that actually he carries a stick, and that stick can have effect. That effect is suspension of the employment contract between 4 individuals and the central bank. Regarding the communication task force, he is yet to operationalize it as he is dealing with requirements of PRAS and Civil Service Commission. Yet there is a letter in circulation confirming that S. Lumumba is an employee or a contractor with the government of Zimbabwe. This is what we have. This is the government of the day. This is the government that has outsourced law enforcement processes and procedures to people outside the 4 corners of accountability and responsibility. Yes, as say today, let me do my job, and accused another minister of being captured. Munyara's Maga high. So this is what is there. I would like to add, but I simply don't know what is how to add, and perhaps I can turn it around and see whether there is possible to add people. It doesn't look like I can add more. S is a hired character assassin, Jami Kativu. Hired by who? By the Minister of Finance. People are captured with cartel syndicates. Why is it wrong for them to be suspended? I guess the there is something to be said. We now have a captured state. Well done, ZANU-PF. What do you think is next? I think there are a lot more next steps than we have cared to contemplate and imagine and perhaps think about. Here you have a number of people that have been retired from the public service. Some have been put into the party, and the party is not a going concern. The party ran election with funds whose source is not known. So inbuilt in the mechanism is a lot of opaque relationships. When you look at the treasury bills that have been issued and the indebtedness of the government to institutions, then you can imagine how lucrative it has been to be close to power. Proximity to power has allowed public funds to efficiently and effectively flow into private hands. And if you now are a beneficiary, so it means the party has to be funded indirectly from the fiscus. And the fiscus is heavily stretched. The recurrent expenditures cannot be met without borrowing. And Munashe Mark is talking about Billy Rottenbach, that he has captured a portion of the beautiful nation. Then Prince, are you not Queen Bee? Queen Bee is equal to Kudakwashe Tagwirei. Is Lumumba not breaching his contractual agreements? Watch my word, I don't think Lumumba will last. If he lasts, then you can possibly invoice me. This week will tell a lot of things. There are organs of government that are threatened by somebody who appears to owe allegiance to a department of government. And that head of the department is an appointee. So I guess there are conversations that are taking place. Some obviously informed by S. Lumumba, social media gamble that in itself would cause a lot of sleeping snakes to suddenly wake up. And who is clean when the government itself is founded on something that may not be so clean? If Lumumba arrives at the weekend and it's confirmed that he's still holding the job that or the contract that he has, there will be something. There are people who believe just a simple argument simple. What is the worth of $1? What is the worth of $1? Is it $1 in bond note, in RTGS, in money in the FCA account? The Minister of Finance in England said $1 is not equal to one bond note. So 1 to 1. Now go to the geniuses, the custodians, the stockholders of this party, the ruling party. What is their logic from 2008 to 2018? They are saying, we know the people of Zimbabwe. They have accepted waste for 38 years. When we tell them it's 1 to 1, they have no choice but to believe it. Then you have a Minister of Finance who is still trying to find his feet in a treacherous, slippery environment, who cannot even stand on his feet to say exactly whether he is for market or for non-market, for administrative allocation of resources, one of which is the scarce US dollar. Government is not a generator of US dollars, and government's relationship with Forex is not that straightforward. Government depends on the Forex generated by others. For government, they would want to get the Forex at this extortion rate of 1 to 1. So if you maintain this 1 to 1, who benefits? Assume there's a conference in another country and you are a government official and you want money to travel, subsistence, and whatever perks follow therefrom. If you go to the market today and you want to buy $1, nobody in his or her rightful mind will give up $1 for $1 in another form. They will simply say, this is not for me. Yes, if you are in government, then you threaten people. You use the stick and say, do as I say. If you don't, you are a criminal. Then the minister knows that. He ought to know that. But the people who benefit from this opaque phone call system, where you pick up the phone and say, I need $10,000, then you tell the Reserve Bank governor, who has to pretend that the money is available. He would then ask exporters to surrender a portion of their money at this extortion rate. So this is what it is. While you are forcing people to put their money in the banking system, fully knowing that there is no cover in terms of the US dollars. That's deception. And how do you balance this with any intellectual residue where a person can foolishly say, I know the truth, but I want to spin what ought to be the truth? The market does not have eyes, does not have ears. It doesn't lie. To say the bond 1-to-1 with US dollar is like saying a donkey is equivalent to a cow. Simple. Because they are both domestic animals. This is the epitome of insanity. That's Mr. Max Manyika from California. Those who want to call, they can call. And it's tragic. So there are a lot of next steps. When you build a house on sand, it will never stand the ground. The whole enterprise of stabilization is to stabilize on a foundation of sand. And no smoke without fire, and don't be biased, Mawere. If the government don't act, we'll go nowhere. Baba Gadzimi Square. I'm not biased. In fact, on the contrary, the basis on which any government must stand or fall is the protection of the public trust. When the public trust is no longer there, what remains? Is the Billy Rodenberg theory plausible? Who is Queen B? I have no idea who this queen is. I have heard rumors about who it could be. But then some people are saying it's King Tagwire, not Queen B. So if there's Queen B, time will tell. But I don't know who it is. People are saying there's no sound. I can't hear no sound. Okay, Bree, can you hear me now? I see my sound is ZANU-PF faction of police playing not openly. And S. Lumumba is very correct. All right. And who is wrong? I'm not saying he's correct or wrong, but I'm saying that we need to rethink. We need to pause and appreciate what are the elements. What are the elements that we require in order to secure a government that meets with our expectations? What is it that is required? Do we need smart people, or do we need a smart system? If we look at S as an individual, do you agree that his conduct confirms that there is no government. He doesn't trust the police. He doesn't trust the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. He doesn't trust the Reserve Bank itself to be able to know who is good, who is fit for purpose, who is fit to be the employee of the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank responds to somebody who does not work for the Reserve Bank. How many other people does S not know who are equally, if not more, guilty of the same conduct that S is angry about? Why would S not have confidence in the organs of state? Why would Dr. Mutuli not have confidence with the Ministry of Information? So what we have is a systemic problem, not a problem one person can fix. Elections failed to fix it. So, if we don't have public property, public trust, how best do we secure it? By loose cannons stepping up to the plate, pointing a fingers at other people, not at himself. How do we secure the kind of constitutional order we need? As said a minute ago, friends, I have unearthed the frightening strings of payments between Queen Bee and many appointed officials. Good thing if President deals with Zimbabwe wins. Any information, supply information to S, he promised the Facebook at 9 p.m. Tuesday. That's it. So if we have to convert a whole government of people, of 13 million people, into the wisdom or folly of one individual, then we have a lot to learn. We have a lot to figure out. What kind of government do we want? What kind of constitutional order do we want? How do we best secure this public trust? How best do we make sure that public officials are accountable, inclusive of S? How do we make sure that we become owners and authors of our destinies? So a lot will follow, and the signs are already written that not is well. Not all is well. Because now you have fragmentation, you have each one for himself, the center cannot hold. My brother, we are in a casino economy, it's a free fall. Sadly, this country of ours is fast going nowhere. It will continue to go nowhere until we decide to go somewhere. We want a Chamisa government, period. I'm not too confident that the government ought to belong to an individual. We want a system that is responsible and responsive. I do not believe that you can make progress on the basis of a single individual knowing everything. I don't believe life was designed to permit that absurdity. The government must always be of the people. S is the closest to the action as it gets. Hate him or love him. I'm definitely listening to him. Brie McDonald, that's your choice. Listen, you must, but vigilant, you must think about that nobody, no government should surrender to a single individual, however knowledgeable, however smart they may be. That was never meant to be the purpose of government. If we have to reduce governments to an individual, then we would have lost what it means to be citizens in any system. I've tweeted that even the people we trust most may not be trustworthy. So I don't know where this feeling is that a single individual, however gifted, however smart, and however smooth, can substitute the spirit of the universe of individuals who are affected by mischief in government. How many civil servants are not civilized? How many public officials do not work for the public? Who is to judge? The one who benefits from pointing fingers, or the one who benefits by taking a stand? The importance of public trust, because this is public property. And if we look back and we wanted to find out what Jefferson said about public trust, and let the Rhodesians come back and recolonize again, given them time to sort out the mess, then we kick them out and start afresh. That's the best solution. Sounds crazy, but that's the only way to Tambirai. I don't know. He has come up with an exclusive, holier than thou approach, that this is the only way. There are many ways to heaven. There are many ways to hell as well. So I would not support what is being said by other people, that there is only one way. And let me just read what Jefferson said on public trust and public property, so that we can understand why it is not right. And that's Jefferson's words. When a man assumes a public trust, he should consider himself a public property. This is, and Marvin says, how do we move forward? I think forward we must move, but we have to find a foundation that would allow us to move forward what is and ought to be the foundation, and what should be the basis on which a government operates. It can be correct that sovereign people, mature people, wait for one individual to name and shame others, while we surrender to this tyranny. It is, as mentioned, his own. Yesterday he said Mugabe must go, and Mugabe did go. And the bond notes did not disappear. And he said, let's go to the streets and let's remove Mugabe. Mugabe was removed. No smoke without fire, and don't be biased, Mawere. If government don't act, we will go nowhere. I'm not saying that the government must not act. I'm saying that we should be the vanguards of the way forward. No single individual must rise above others and get paid by public funds to do civic duties, to name and shame others. That ought to be our collective role. And I'm not saying that S should not be vigilant. All I'm saying is that when I get paid to be a citizen and to be active as a citizen, then there must be something wrong. Let me act with others. Let us deal with this disease called state capture, if that is the correct word. Corruption, if that is the correct word. Let us unlock this government from the clutches of tyranny. And let us not think that somebody owes us a favor by stepping up and stepping forward. Let us think. And I can give you my own story. And those who are interested, I think now, if we democratize the naming and shaming, let all who have experiences not monopolize the action. Whatever S says, tomorrow becomes action. But does S have the universe of all the misdeeds? Why can't we have active citizens? Now we know of Queen B because S got a job. All this time there was Queen B. The facts of Queen B predate this administration. Yet S could not name and shame the people he is now naming and shaming. Why didn't he do that before? Why did he reserve his attack on this hopeless individual called Mugabe, who didn't even know what was happening around him, who was thrown out of office and sent to hell without him realizing what was going on? How many other things does S know that he would not expose because it will expose him and expunge him. Is that the kind of conduct we want? Where selectively somebody would target, would point, not that he's doing anything wrong. All I'm saying, let us be inclusive in exposing what is wrong. Let us create platforms that would ask us to go beyond the S perimeter, to go beyond Themba Muliswa's perimeter. Let's extend the envelope. Let's dig deeper. We may discover that actually, even on SMM, there are people today in government who have never been held accountable because they are deemed to be above the law. And S knows that. And S will not act in the same way Themba Muliswa would not act. They will only pick the low-hanging fruits. They will never go beyond those low-hanging fruits. They want us to believe, yes, it's a starting point. But how long is the shoestring? This country needs a serious dialogue. The country needs no dialogue. Uyai. We need dialogue ourselves. So let us think and extend the envelope of dialogue. So I have shared, and I have 15 minutes to go. Armitage, it's a good start. The power of the mob is unbelievable. Now we know them. You'll see in the next coming days. Yes, let us not wait to see. Let us also be the vanguards of what kind of society we want to see. Do we want to see this kind of society where people are afraid to point the finger, where it takes a few to stand up on their legs, not on their knees? Surely, should we surrender to the lowest denominator? Should we not rise up and be counted? Those who know what is wrong, let us talk about what is wrong. Let us talk beyond the individuals, not about government, but about individuals who have abused public trust, but they remain in positions of public trust. They are not accountable. They will never be accountable because the few who step up to the plate are also part of the problem. We are all part of the problem. How do we fix it? Since 2004, I have been making the noises. I even wrote a book, A Revolution Betrayed. And if you want me to read what I said in my book, it's called The Revolution Betrayed. And it may be of interest to appreciate this narrative where I said what was meant to be a revolution and has ended up being hijacked. The name of my book is called The Revolution Betrayed. It's a revolution betrayed by Mawere. I think it's on A Revolution Betrayed. It's a book that I wrote, or I think it's on Amazon. I think Amazon.com. A Revolution Betrayed, a perspective on the flight path of Zimbabwe, 1980 to 2013. This book is a collection of articles focusing on the review and assimilation of ideas over the past 33 years, dealing with the questions of economic empowerment and indigenization. The 33-year-old history of post-colonial Zimbabwe represents a major strategic experience that certainly will have important lessons for South Africa, Africa's largest economy. April 18, 1980 marked a turning point in the anti-colonial struggle and the successful negotiation of a political settlement facilitated by the United Kingdom made it easier for Southwest Africa, now the Republic of Namibia, and South Africa to change. Whatever one's attitude towards the post-colonial attitude, the lingering question about economic justice must be studied and correctly understood. The land reform exercise in the current purported indigenization and economic empowerment program that are being driven by the state and its actors have left an imprint that one cannot ignore. That is a book, and you can check it. It's A Revolution Betrayed, 1980 to 2013. A perspective of the journey of independence. Now we have 38 years. And who is the author? I am the author, Jack. Mawere is the author. And this is my own take. So we have 8 minutes to go. And I don't know whether I did justice to the issues of the day. If you think it is important for me to continue, and those who are interested in participating, please do so that when we come back, it becomes a town hall meeting. I got the Zoom application, which can take many of us on the same platform. Those who are interested in a town hall meeting, where it can be a robust conversation, question and answers. Please indicate whether you are interested in that format so that I can talk less, think less, act less, and don't become like the people we despise. So if you are interested in a town hall format, you can inbox me. You can come in. Let's box ideas. Let's have a battle of ideas. Let us interrogate ideas. Jack Matiza, yes. So please, let us get our Zoom up. Those who are interested, Armitage, Makotose, surely you need to be on the ground in Zimbabwe since the Jude dispensation is trying to write things. You are a captain of industry. Those who are interested, Joseph Chari, don't tell me what I need to be. Let us talk about ideas that inspire change. Let us talk about ideas that provoke change. Let us talk about ideas that excite people to look forward to another day. Let us talk about ideas that provide us with a mindset to inform the kind of choices that will make Zimbabwe great and live up to the promise that it should be for the majority of the people. Those who are interested in a battle of ideas, please indicate so that I know who is who, because all too often we surrender our future to the few. Mutumwa, you sound like you have your own grievance. Yes, we all have a story to tell, Prudence, and I don't think it's unnatural for people to have not to have their own stories to tell. I think I'm not sure what sounding is. If what I've said offends you, fine. Let's talk about what is offensive than try to import motives. Will you have a thread to follow since we are too far? Yes, certainly it will be on my Facebook page. Yes, more Dombas. True Mutumwa's grievances. I don't know who is talking about me. And we are talking here about ideas. And if you think the ideas that I have given are incorrect, invalid, that's why we want a town hall meeting, so that ideas can battle ideas, not motives battle motives. We are here to talk. We are not here to implement things. We are here to have ideas like any general who planned for a battle before he's fought. Let us put our minds to work instead of being superstitious, suspicious, and pointing fingers. So let us not surrender our opinions to others so that we remain opinionless. Let us be the change that we want to see. Let us not be like Mo Dombas, who says true when I'm here to speak for myself, and when Mo Dombas can also speak for himself. Why can't we have the courage to speak our minds? And why can't we go beyond Mr. Madondo, who says you have your own grievances, as if human beings cannot speak their mind? If you have something to say, say it. And these guys who have just been named and shamed at the RBZ as sacrificial lambs who got too greedy, window dressing efforts, in my opinion. Those are the, let's get the ideas. Emmanuel, let's get it. You can inbox me. You can write to me so that we plan it. So that when we come tomorrow at 9 p.m., we come with foot soldiers, not with people who are suspicious, who are innuendo-driven, who can't speak their minds, and start pointing fingers as if this is a contest of superstition. So let us open the floor so that people can come forward and not hide behind matchsticks, not surrender to us as if they don't have opinions. Let's look at case studies so that people can judge fact from fiction. Let us go beyond the people who are popular on social media, saying nothing when they should be saying something. Let us know how deep the problem is, whether the Reserve Bank officials or the people in the mind of us are the only people. Let us go beyond. And Shupikai says there is no money on the ground. There will continue to be no money on the ground unless we put our heads. Let's have a battle of ideas. If it's corruption, let's open it up. Let all the people with the grievances, let all the people who are suffering from a disease, if it's diabetes, let us ask those who suffer from diabetes to share. What do you think is the solution? I think when we begin to talk to each other, not at each other, John McClain, we will find the solutions about what kind of government we want, what kind of citizens we want. In fact, it is us who are not doing what we should do. Why should we ask the so-called leaders to do what we are not prepared to do? Why should we wait for S. Lumumba to make the noises that we have voices to make? Why give us voices? Why give us ears and eyes and legs, and we are not prepared to use them? Why can't we be the aces of our generation? There's no young problem. There's no old problem. There's no young future. There's no old future. Each second we approach without knowledge. All we can share is what we have gone through. And whose grievance are you proclaiming or representing? We need more people with grievances. The people with ideas are in power. The people with no ideas are outside power. We are the people with ideas. You don't elect a person to have more ideas than you. You don't appoint someone in government to become smarter than you. He has balls than others. Who castrated others, Modila? Who gave him more balls than others? How dare we surrender ourselves to elevate someone, to give somebody high-heeled shoes on what matters to all of us? How can we be so submissive? How can we acquiesce ourselves as if we don't have balls, as if we don't have legs, as if we don't have stature? What kind of people are we? Whether Mutuli is revenging or not, that's irrelevant. Let's talk about what time it is. Guys, aren't you angry when somebody tells you one bond note, $1 is equal to $1 and you know that's bullshit? What has that got to do with Barbican? Why do we submit ourselves to others? People are scared. Modila, I thought you were going to say, I am scared. I'm sick and tired of the we. We can meet tomorrow and talk about ideas. You have a right to say something. Say it. Speak up. So that it's not just one individual that the whole nation look up to. For far too long, 37 years, we looked up to somebody. So what's the way forward? The way forward is to talk about what we can do. So I don't know, people are looking for a Jesus, are looking for a prophet. I'm no prophet. I don't have the way forward. All I can do is share my thoughts. Those who like my thoughts, those who don't like, that's fine with me. But I don't know what I don't know. And we speak up and get arrested, demonstrate, and we get, card, I speak up. I refuse to speak. That's your choice. I don't know what else to say. Tomorrow we are going to have, if you are hungry, 100%, then let's us all be angry. There is no reason why one individual should pontificate and think that their anger substitutes our anger. The more we are, no, I am talking, card. It's not we talking. I can't compound myself. I have no mechanism of multiplying myself. We want to restore the dignity. We want a government that protects, not a government that threatens. We want a government that understands that the individuals in government are not there because they are smart. They are there to serve those people who create wealth and those people who, in the ordinary course of their own lives, just take care of business. We are tired of people who, after elections, believe that they have a monopoly of reason. We are tired being told what is right and what is wrong, when we know what is in our self-interest. Let us not talk about right or wrong. Let us assert our interest in the mix. Let us be vigilant. Let us not accept to be abused by people of flesh. The way forward is to be on the ground, fighting the enemy. We have become a country of armchair analysts. Do not be demoralized by anyone who insults you. I am behind you. Let us go for it. Let us refine our ideas. Let us not go into battle without understanding what we are fighting for. We have spent 38 years trying to understand what independence is, only to end up dependent on others. Let us not make other mistakes extend dictatorship, tyranny by one extra day because we have no idea of what ought to happen. Let us not remove one monster and replace him with another. So I hope you have understood me. And those who are interested, please inbox me, follow me, and then let us put our heads to use. Let us use our minds. Let us do things that inspire, that provoke action. Let us have clarity of thought. And let us be precise as to what must change. Otherwise, we may replace one monster with another monster. Enough is enough. Good night. Thank you very much. I've done 9 minutes more than what I intended to do, but I guess we are all angry. Let us fight. If Americans could declare independence, we can also declare. We did it if they can do it. They did it in the interest of life. They didn't do it because they wanted the king to die. But there comes a time when we ought to think outside the box. There comes a time when foolishness must be substituted. There comes a time when thinking has to replace foolishness. There comes a time when ignorance has to give way. There comes a time when we must be replaced by I, because it is I who has the power to think and act. It is not we that have the power to aggregate the I's. I am who I am, and I remain who I am, and there can never be a substitute. So let us use our minds, not our emotions. Let us not be blind to what is required to make Zimbabwe great. We need to be able to own it. And there is no greater address of change than the mind. No leg can move one step forward without the mind that tells it where to go. No hand can move without a mind. Let us convert the us into the I. Hashtag I am the change. Let us remove hashtag we are the change. Let us share experiences, one individual at a time. Those who have grievances, let us bring them forward. Because for each grievance, there must be lessons. For each tyrannical behavior, there must be witnesses. There must be evil people to create that which is not natural. So, let us not discourage people to be angry. Let this be the square where people become angry, but use their words as weapons, their experiences as weapons. Let us begin to know Mawere through the rough side that he has been exposed to, that other people don't know. Let us use people with experiences to be able to download them so that we can share anger. If we can share anger, then we can move. We can only move when we are angry. But we must use our minds. Let us pollute our minds with what is wrong so that we can reject what is wrong. Those with experiences, let us share the experiences without limitation. We are the greatest betrayers of any change. It is our silence that gives the courage to others to take the next step. Let us convert our anger into words so that others can give motion to legs. Even the greatest city starts with an idea. The greatest country starts with an idea. Any change, any battle that is fought starts with an idea. Any business that you can start, it starts with an idea. So let's invest in ideas. If we understand ideas and the power of ideas, there is nothing that can conquer the human spirit. So let us not shy away from talking about ideas. So let us make each other angry, because there is no feedstock for a revolution other than anger. When we are not angry, we can accept anything. But when we know better, we know how to limit abuse. Otherwise, when abuse is fragmented, then we have a problem. If you are my friend on Facebook, please do the right thing. If you want my phone number, to WhatsApp me, and please do so. The situation in Zimbabwe is beyond dialogue. No, hatred. Please don't think Zimbabwe can fit in one person's head. It may be beyond. What you know is not what I know. So I don't think it's necessary, Mr. Nyashanu, for you to say the situation in Zimbabwe. Who am I to know what Zimbabwe is and what Zimbabwe is not? Who am I? I don't know the universe called Zimbabwe. What I know is a very limited Zimbabwe. What I can share is a limited version of reality. So I can only share what I know. But we want to be angry because I know what I didn't know. Let us go beyond imagining anger. Let us talk to those who suffer from cancer so that we may know what cancer is. If you are in it, my number is 082-269-2874. If you want to email me, it's mdmawere1@gmail.com. So let us start by sharing. Those who want me to share my anger, say yes, so that tomorrow I can start talking about my own experiences with Chiremba, with others, with Chasi, with whoever is there. So if you want to hear my own story, I got your number. So those who want us to talk about this. Those who want to hear my story, please say yes. Thank you, Netai. Netai has said yes. So if I see 10 people, then I'll start with my own to start making you angry. Regis does the right thing. March, put your number there so that we are not afraid to be who we are. Those who want to hear me in my own words, in my own anger, please. I have written a book, When Minds Meet. That book was written precisely to talk to you. That only when minds meet can a solution be found. But when we are talking at each other, there is no solution. Because the people who abuse, they will only abuse one at a time. They will not abuse a group. They abuse one. And the few who stand up, who appear to be experts. Let us not build other people to be experts. Let us be angry. Even if you have a grievance, come to the public square and say, not in my name. When I know about Jesus' experience, I don't want to be Jesus, but I want to learn about his problems with these wise men so that I can be able to defend. There are many people who don't want to hear our stories because they don't want to be angry. They want to continue to talk. But when you know better, you will begin to ask the difficult questions. And when the difficult questions come, change follows. It always follows. Change will come. Real change will come. But it will not come to the people who betray it. We don't want to talk about the past. We want the future. Prudence says, without understanding the past, the future is our business to gather prudence. But there are people who are Christians, but I've never seen a follower of Christ who has seen Christ. Everything in the Bible is in the past tense. Yet prudence would come here and want to tell us that Jesus does not matter. Prophet Muhammad's experience don't matter. Only prudence was given the wisdom to talk about the future. Who are you to talk about the next second that you don't know? Tomorrow I may not be with you. Who knows what happens tomorrow? We'll talk about what future? When we all confront young, old, blind, disabled, whatever you are, there is no second that we own as the living. And yet prudence would come here to say, talk about the future. I am no prophet. I am no Jesus. I am no Prophet Muhammad. We build the future by knowing what is wrong and right. Jesus downloaded his experience. He shared his life so that other people can testify. He said, if two or more gather in my name, my presence shall be felt. He never promised any manna. He never promised anything. But this prudence guy, He wants us to go into the future. We walk on untrodden past. We live in the present. We don't live in the past. But if we don't know what is right, using the parables, using other people's examples, people who are abused, people who are raped, we are saying, get the courage to tell your story. Don't be bamboozled by people like Prudence who tell you, I want to talk about a future rape. Not about what happened. In Australia, the Prime Minister apologized for past abuses. The future, there is no young person. The future is founded by values. The future is a continuum. The future starts with us. We are not saying the past must be repeated, but even those who have lived the past, they must tell us whether it's Jesus. Let's learn about his life. Let's learn about his experiences. Not because we want to go to Jerusalem. Let us learn from other people's experience so that we don't become bitter. We become better. But there is no future, because the future is today. There is nothing that I know of what I don't know and what the future holds, because I am not in the future. I don't live in the future. I live in the present. And who I am is determined by the journey I've traveled, not by the journey I have to travel. Because I know not what it holds. I'm here because I'm here. So please, let us exercise our minds of this madness that the future is somebody who can promise me. Somebody who promises you, elect me president, then I'll make your life better. And you believe it. And you want to talk about that nonsense. Thank you. So those who have indicated, let's get in touch. I've also given you my number. And let's get that number. So you can inbox me so that I don't forget. So those are my contact details. So please, Prudent, then we have to start talking about roads. I hope so, but there are many things that we can talk about. But I'm not roads. I'm me. So I can only talk about my experience, Prudence. I can't talk about you. Talk about yourself, Prudence. You have a life. Share with us. Share your happiness, your anxieties. My number is there. You can scroll up 278326928874 and mdmmawere1@gmail.com. 278326928874. Okay, that's done. That's my number. So I guess we are done for the day. Let us look forward to tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Let's keep on keeping on. Thank you.